Welcome back, everyone, to our next match of the day. Today we are seeing Team Affliction versus Team Jinx, and right now we have Affliction's killer on Blight. And the map you're seeing in front of you is Ormond variation number 3. So a different killer. We haven't seen Blight yet today, and it's already found its first chase. But before we get into the, I guess, action of the chase, I would like to very quickly introduce the caster that's going to be joining me for the rest of the day. And there's Direwolf. Direwolf, how are you feeling?
Hello everyone, thank you so much Zach for the warm welcome. Feeling a lot better today. The sickness is still not defeated, but we're trying our best here. The same, I guess, goes for our Blight, who is pretty instantly able to get the first down here on Ormond. That is sometimes not the easiest task to achieve. 50%, however, on the first generator already. We often talk about it, especially on the S tier killers. It is quite great when you can make a 1-for-1 change on the survivor side, 1 hook stage for 1 generator. Not quite there yet, but still a little bit of a reason to feel good here. We're grinding the main building as well. Now Demolisher is trying to interrupt that. Does the Lori here, and a very confident hit is going to make sure that she's already going injured. But Zach, I think the strategy is clear. Elimination as quick as possible.
Yeah, the first chase, unfortunately getting caught on edge map and took a... Oh, that is the dead hard I think I just saw at the corner of my eye, and that's just going to miss. That's unfortunately going to be Moon taking the down. But yes, the first... Moon unfortunately got caught out in a pretty unsafe area, so I think that's what led to that quick down in the first place. But then that dead hard right there, not going very well. This is... DeWalter's going to feel really good about this, getting that quick second stage. Has an idea of what gens are being worked on as well. And I don't think he's going to let up on these things. You can see Pop and Eruption in play as well. So when those hooks cycle through, he's able to just go and reapply all of that. 2 perks that work really well together, especially on a killer like Blight, who could just move around the map so quick. And we're already seeing, we saw a reset come through onto Dark, I believe. 50% on that gen. It doesn't look like anyone else is working on a gen apart from maybe Mads. Oh, that looks like Dark has joined them, but not really in a rush to unhook, to be honest.
Yeah, they're hiding a little bit, being careful, not entirely sure here, because Moon is not in the best position at all, facing the elimination in just a few seconds here. And we have 3 healthy survivors, I was just about to say, so we should definitely see trying a rescue from the Dark here, hoping that the Moon can shine a little bit longer, and they are able to at least get the unhook. Dark is going to take a very heroic trade here, but Moon now on the run for the life. Needs to make sure that he reaches something, which is going to be tricky in the Ormond main building. Not the best pallets over here, but does make it away a little bit longer here towards this corner of Ormond, and that's going to be the end. Unfortunately, there's not really the resources that you would be looking for, suspecting a survivor to be around potentially for the flashlight save here, but that's not going to happen as well. Great and quick check there from Demolisher, and he's making sure that Jinx is losing a survivor as quick as possible, almost instantly into the trial. We barely have 2 completed generators here at the moment. Now Lori is going to be picked up, has to stay injured though. Survivors will not have enough time for the Blight to make a return here. 2 survivors also locked down at the shack at the moment. So the killer, with just being around here, making sure that 2 of the team members of Jinx are incapacitated, which is really great. You don't need to worry about too much of a gen pressure in the distance at all. Getting a quick injury onto Mathis here as well. And if he's not going to have the longest run, we might not even see the main building generator finding completion here.
Yeah, he needs a chase of his life right now, and that is unfortunately not going to happen, as he manages to mind game that rock really well and bumps good patience from the Blight there. And unfortunately, I feel like all of our chases right now are being caught in such dead zones or just really unfortunate spots. They're not able to make the most of Shack. They haven't really used to main building too much. Of course, the gen's being worked on in there, so ideally don't want to chase there, but these safe areas of the map that they really should ideally be making it to, they've just not quite managed to do so, and I think that's really helped our Blight right now to first get quick downs, but then also just go to these areas before they're even able to finish it. And that's been popped. And I believe that was their most progressed generator on the map that's now been popped and eruptioned. We do get a reset onto Dark, and they are playing a little bit safe. Looks like Dark's jumped on a gen, and DMR's playing for a save. So, okay, so they do have some progression. But our killer has unfortunately sniffed it out a little bit. Safe area to chase, at least of all the areas you can on this map. And Dark's going to be trying to save as much time for his team as possible right now. Unhook comes through, and a reset you can see from DMR. And unfortunately, not able to get the good timing on the locker, so it's going to take a hit. Yeah, I think that, I don't know, Diet, being chased away from that shack and the survivor rotation is going to be too far away, so I think that the Affliction killer right now is going to be chilling.
Wow.
That was a really nice rush around that pallet.
That was really, really well played. It is definitely clear why Affliction has selected the Blight, as they said here. From the get-go, the killer is showing his skills as a really true demolisher. I think the player tag really lives up to the skill here. If you would put any expectations up after reading that player tag, then I think it is definitely what we see right here. Quick reset on the side of Jinx, very well done. Both of our players here, Dima and Dark, will make it away, and this time the swing is coming a little bit too short. Dark is making it in time over the pallet here. Going back towards the more active generators over here, one of them in the main building. Demolisher needs to make sure that he constantly goes back towards the main building if he wants to keep it with a potential 4K on 4 generators remaining, because this is Jinx jackpot generator, you could say. By far the most progress happened over here. Now after the kick, instantly back towards the shack. Here we have seen a survivor last, and that's going to be Dark on the right side of the pallet. Very well done here, staying the winner of this mind game, trying to waste some extra time by going into the locker, and every single second can be important now, because Zach, I think we can agree we are talking about a win condition that is around the generators here. Escapes are very unlikely unless Affliction is basically throwing the game here. So any generator now would be really good news for our survivor team.
Yes, but also very unlikely. I mean, they're all injured, right? So the second that they get found, there's some scratch marks. So they're going to have to really pre-lead these gens. Leg's getting so close. That gen's been kicked quite a few times. And yeah, really good stuff from Demolisher to, I guess, demolish this game. Like you say, his name's staying true. And he knows exactly what gens they're going to be trying to push, which is why he opted to slug there, because he's going to know that they don't have enough time to start a new one. He sees that they're not resetting. They do get the pickup onto Dark, unless that was unbreakable. And right now... Oh, okay, so gets caught around the corner, heard near that locker. And Eruption's going to proc on that gen in main building. Again, opting to slug. So pressing the advantage. And if they unfortunately go down here, yeah, that's going to be really bad. And I believe another... Oh, never mind, opting to slug, actually, but... Yeah, DMR's the only remaining survivor and has been found. So I think we're looking at 4K4 right now.
We absolutely do. 4K on 4 generators remaining in the lower bracket, where you cannot lose a match anymore, and where you certainly don't want to start into your best of 3 with a performance like this. And yeah, you could say now, it is Affliction's pick, so of course they are living up to the expectations, and Jinx would even be fine dropping the first set. Everything can be treated as going according to plan. But I think 4K4 is still falling a little bit out of line when we are talking about what can we expect from Affliction just because they picked it. We can certainly expect a serious Blight. We can expect a Blight that is very confident with the rushes, that knows the bump logic and Ormond very well, since also this map was avoided in the comp setting for a long time, so not everyone is familiar automatically on the Billy or the Blight, where exactly the difficult hitboxes on the tiles are, etc., and the collisions especially. So this is very well done here, but expected can be maybe a 4K, but a 4K4 is already on the way of being a legendary entrance into the DBDLeague archives. Very well done. I think Demolisher is leaving a very happy Survivor team that is about to play in the upcoming trial. When we are thinking about it, 2 gens will be enough. If you're splitting that up with a double team or like a duo on 1 generator, that would be 45, round about that. And then 1 Survivor alone, you effectively need a chase time of 90 seconds, and you will already have the win condition. And telling the killer of Jinx, yo buddy, you have 90 seconds to 4K this, that's brutal.
Yeah, of course, like you say, 4K is being somewhat of an expectation, but the 4K4 is very, very steep task to match, and I think it ultimately comes down to how the first few chases go. I mean, we saw this game that they were caught out of position, especially with Moon not being able to make it anywhere safe, and that ultimately, like, that plus the pop and eruption chains really led to it, and they didn't really let the survivors get any sort of momentum whatsoever. And so if you're team Jinx now, I guess what's the mindset really? Do you write this one off? Do you just think, let's shake it off and try and go into the next game thinking it's going to be our pick, our confidence, let's not let ourselves get rattled? I'm not too sure, Diet. But like you say, 90 seconds to prevent those 2 gens from being done. Definitely a scary task, I think.
Yeah, it is very scary, and it will be scary for the killer of Team Jinx as well. We're getting in the invitation. It's going to be Dark taking the responsibility. Yes, that's a very experienced killer. So if anyone can do that, then definitely Dark here for the side of Team Jinx. Let's see if the hope that the team members and fans of Jinx are now putting onto this player are justified in that he can somehow make the miracle on the Almond Resort 3. We are going to see you right after this very short break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Time to have a bit more fun in the snow. And Dark is adjusting his F7 wallhack hotkey. Not entirely sure what he was preparing there, but hopefully it was one final boost of his energy drink that is not going to allow him to take a phenomenal performance here. We have high expectations. Dark is an experienced killer, and Dark is potentially facing the challenge of his life here. 4K4 was put up by Demolisher from Team Affliction, so we basically have 90 seconds if we are having an efficient survivor team to finish these 2 generators. So you better get a few quick downs, and that's the case right here, because our survivor right here is getting 2 tapped on the pallet. The detective status is not going to help really. Thrown onto the hook here, and that's a phenomenal start for our killer. That's how you want to play it.
It is, even after the short pause to adjust the gaming position, like you hinted at. And again, the pop and eruption chain. So he's found the gen with decent progress, so knows this is one of the ones that they're working. Corrupt is over now, so you have to wonder where everyone is right now. For the people going to come through, going to protect that tunnel out, and that's exactly what I think the Affliction survivors need to do. They need to deny that tunnel out. Eruption's going to come through with that down, and yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he's just trying to take any hook he can get, because securing that pop goes the Weasel on these gens that are going to be relatively high. Look, you see one there that's about 50%. I wonder if that's the one that he originally popped, but no, like, yeah, I think that pushing the advantage and securing those pops are going to be what he might be trying to aim for, especially because you need to know that you can't let any gens really be done, right?
Yeah, you want to be weaseling as much as possible here. Unfortunately, Ace is immediately jumping off that hook in the distance, so you don't really have the biggest time win against the survivor side. Gustavo taking the injury right here, unfortunately vaulting into the Blight, drops the pallet early over here, making sure that he's building himself a little bit of a fortress. That is the unlucky pallet that didn't work out for him earlier, and it's not going to be a second time. Gustavo with another 2-tap over here. Very unfortunate. Maybe he should switch the character in order to prevent that. First generator going to come out in the distance. They are already working on the second one, and ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind this would already be enough. 2 generators will mark the first set point for Team Affliction here, so it is going to be a lot more on the side of Team Jinx here. But one thing we can agree, if the killer of Jinx is able to secure the tie condition in this set, that feels like literally winning the grand final for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, there's no result that feels better than that. Securing a 4k4 tie condition, that would be crazy. Gustavo's still on the hook, and yeah, this gen feels like it's quite high progress. If they're working any other maps, you can see there's no insta-pull on the Gustavo, which immediately tells you that they maybe want to play for that last gen, which they are well within their right to do to secure the win. I don't really see any reason not to do that. Miyato does get caught out here. And really nice little flick there. Okay, went around the outside and predicted the pathing so well. Unhook comes through onto Gustavo. And we see Wand working a gen that's about 60% of the way. Going for the pickup. He is downed next to that progressed gen. One's been found. Okay. And ideally needs this to be a relatively quick chase, I think, if he's going to press the advantage. Still is relatively safe in protecting himself from getting that last gen done, and paths away from the rock, so he's able to get a tag. Wand there, and he'll going to come through into Gustavo, so they are resetting, and that gen is, I mean, it's not the most progressed thing on the map, but he needs this down fast. And a nice wiggle there. One can avoid that. That's such a huge juke. All the rush is going to be used in that process as well, so the Blight's going to have such a rough time getting to the other side of the map, at least right now. Needs this hook to come through fast. Is there anything close by? And that's going to be it, unfortunately. So that's going to be the second gen done. That wiggle, I feel like, because, I mean, I don't know. I guess we could argue about the timings, but that little juke there really secured it for them.
Yeah, this cage chase here in general in the corner, unfortunately, too far away. I think Dark was expecting to get it a lot sooner, but then really with this survivor activating over here, making sure that he's going to run after her so much longer, and then we see it very beautifully here right now, being in the corner with the snowmobile here. That's really not the position as the killer where you can look over a lot of active generators, where you can push the survivors away. So that's just going to be the very unfortunate loss of the first set here. But good news for all the Jinx fans. This was basically going according to plan so far. Affliction picked the Blight, so Affliction may have the first set point, and it is going to be Jinx on the Plague in the second set, and they can bring it back here. Interesting to see that the Billy is no longer available to them, so I think that DMR, a very dangerous Billy, is really spreading in the community, especially of the participants in the winter circuit, saying do not hand out the Billy towards DMR and to Team Jinx. So instead, we are now going to see the Plague, which I'm very happy about, as Plague is my favorite killer to watch on the competitive stage here, especially on the rotten fields. It is going to be a very interesting trial that doesn't leave a lot of room for mistakes on the survivor side. Next chase coming out once again here in the corner. It's going to be a quick ending, but with dragging the killer so far again over here, we see it very beautifully in the distance. All the active generators, they might get some significant progress done here.
Yeah, and you're talking about Plague. Blight's my favorite killer in general, and one's just going to try and stick that gen. Unfortunately, not going to work out. And Obster Slug, I was trying to say we've had a pretty good run of sets, at least for me and you. We've both got our favorite killers. We're living it high with the sets that we're watching. I'm having a lot of fun watching the Blight plays right now. Dark is definitely an experienced Blight, as you can see, with the patience and the way he bumps. Very, very experienced killer, but just unfortunate that he had such a steep win condition. Here, but playing with confidence, which I guess you could say, you know, they don't seem rattled by that first result. So they can definitely feel comfortable going into the next set, like you say. And of course, it's a very different killer. I guess right now you just push for the best result you can. Because I believe it will be a back-to-back killer performance, as far as I know. So any momentum you can gain in this game is going to be important going into the next one. Chase coming through now onto Vizira on this filler pallet. Isn't going to vault over, opts to fake, and doesn't want to commit chase. Probably smells that there is a gen being worked on right now, and it looks like it is. There are scratch marks running away, and it is Miyato on this pallet. We've already seen so far this game, this pallet is not the safest, especially against this Blight player, and does make Shaq window. Shaq was dropped immediately at the start of the game, so can't imagine this chase is going to last much longer. Gonna bump, and yeah, nice little flick around the corner. Eruption gonna proc. Is he gonna opt to pick? No, wants to slug. Because he sees that the survivors are not resetting, and what that probably means is that they are trying to pop the gens, which they do. They popped a third generator right there. Now there's going to be wand caught out, and I'm not sure if they doubled that, but gonna leave 2 slugs on the floor and try and look for, was that a scratch mark I just saw on that tree? I think so. And has an idea of where Vizir is going to be. Yeah, it's going to be unfortunately caught on that pallet, and that's going to be a 4k2 secured. And to be honest, it's still a result to be, I think, happy with, even if you do lose the set.
Especially in this context, I feel like when Affliction is coming out with the 4k4, trying to put down the foot and being like, we are very much stronger than you, we are ready to dominate you in this best of 3, look how it started, you lost very clear. And then your answer is, okay, yeah, the difference is 2 generators. I feel like this is a lot less of a signal that is coming out of Affliction. And especially when Jinx is now playing their very own killer, potentially even with Dark on the Plague, as I would imagine now, he has a really big reason to be confident. I absolutely agree with you. It's a great result here. You don't even get the style points for the Hatch escape. Even that is denied. Finishing it off here in the basement. So it is going to come down to the Plague here, ladies and gentlemen. As said, I would really expect that Dark is going to take the responsibility. Just played a wonderful Blight game, has every reason to be very confident. And the Plague is a very fascinating killer, not only because you have this constant decision making of am I cleansing or am I staying injured, but especially when you're playing in the lower bracket, and especially when you are with the back to the wall under pressure, you sometimes have the tendency to be a little bit overconfident. You are either going a little bit too hard with your Corrupt Purge Plague, or you are overextending a little bit on a generator on the survivor side, trying something crazy. So it is also really going to be a set about who can keep the nerves together, who can have an iron will in order to win this and not say goodbye from the winter circuit here. So we are going to hop on a short break. We'll show you the Plague on Rotten Fields, the best killer. The Blight may be the second best killer, Zach, but the Plague is the best one. We'll show you here after a short break.
Welcome back, everyone. We are on Rotten Fields for our second set of the game on the Plague. We have Team Jinx Killer K facing off against the Affliction survivors. If you remember, or you weren't here a little bit ago, we just saw a 4k2 result on this map. So clearly showing what Plague can do, given the right circumstances. And it looks like it's already found first chase onto Vizira, but does make Shaq trying to apply the infection. We do have Corrupt Intervention in play. Has found Gustavo as well, getting infections on those survivors. Arguably good pressure, even if you don't commit to the chase. I'm going to play this tile a little bit, trying to mind game, hide that right stain, and vaults over. No bamboozle, but there is still no injury onto Gustavo, so maybe not wanting to commit. Yeah, decides to path away and try to find where these last remaining survivors are. We see Miyato also infected, signaling that they have started to move on these gens. But this top side sees there's some progress too. So Oh, has found Wand in the corner, actually. So that's all 4 survivors infected now. So knew that someone was around here and predicts it pretty nicely. So gets a nice little tag there onto Wand. Going to continue chasing to this tile on the side of the map. Is relatively safe of all the ones that you can do. Does he drop the pallet? No, decides to greed it. Does he have enough distance to make it back around? And he does, and gets hit over the pallet, unfortunately. Gonna pull that down, but still get the connecting hits. Probably the worst thing you want to happen in that scenario. But I would say Kate can be happy with the pressure that they have at the start of this game, Dyer.
Yeah, should be pretty fine having the down onto Affliction already, especially together with all these injuries here. Was a very nice read on the corner of the map there that Kate would be hiding. We see a little bit of gen pressure now, 75% on the first gen that someone is working individually on. So we should see the first objective coming out soon. 1 survivor rotating, so they even go for the double up potentially. The difficulty will now be who's going to take the rescue. When are they trying to go into it? If someone is rotating already, that would be the attempt for a pretty early save here. Usually we see in Plague sets quite often that the survivors are actually leaving the person on hook timer for a little bit and trying to get some pressure into the generators. First generator now completed. Affliction, though, a little bit unsure with the strategy here. Lara is circling back. Ace is also busy circling. So we have a lot of downtime on the survivor side at the moment. They are only now hopping onto the generators here. This worries me a little bit because effectively this is a lot of free hook progression that we see here at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, with Plague, you can quite very easily trade or force trades with the survivors. And this map, I mean, I feel like affords Plague a lot of opportunities to A, protect the hook, but also the surrounding gens. And I do wonder if that survivor positioning, unfortunately, yeah, so Gustavo's going to get caught on this side of the map. Does he have enough distance? Doesn't look like he passed around the right way. And I think that's going to result in a hit potentially. It does. Unfortunately, he gets hit exactly the same way that Wand goes down, pulling the pallet. Okay, the call was made to go for the unhook. Gustavo's going to be left on the hook, and Wand looks like they are the target. Does have the safety of Shack pallet, but we'll see how fast K can get this second, this eliminated survivor out. Or progress this elimination even. Gustavo's going to be left on the side of the map, sleeping, crawling into the mid-map closer to his teammates, probably. This is going to be K grabbing the Corrupt Purge, and does get hit over the window, unfortunately, not able to crouch in time. So that's going to be Wand going down, but you can see only about 30% on the gen, and the survivor has been eliminated. So 4 gens, a survivor dead. That's pretty devastating.
I think one of the crucial moments there was the downtime that we have witnessed during the first stage on the Kate, because effectively you have 2 choices, right? Either you agree on your survivor side, we are going to rescue almost instantly, which is very difficult when the Plague has a hill hook. You have everyone completely broken, so there's going to be 1m1. Either if you want to execute the trade or anything like this, you need to cleanse, you need to move in, and then you really need to stick to that plan. Otherwise, you're leaving your survivor hang, but if you do that, you really need to counter that with some serious gen progress, and this is what we earlier witnessed that didn't happen. We have seen Lara and I believe Ace, who's currently on the hook, circling around the rotten fields, being a little bit on a safari, being like, oh, what is over here? What generator can we repair next? Oh, there are some flowers. I don't have them in my logbook yet. I need to show that at home, what I found here. And this time loss that we witnessed there, this is now the punishment that Affliction has here, and the reason why they are still stuck on 4 gens when we are talking about a very good performance from Jinx Killer already. One of these generators will come out now, so we are maximum talking about a 4K3, and I have a good, let's say, anticipation for them, and I have to believe that they are getting some additional generators done, but it is certainly not the performance you're looking for against a quite weaker Killer compared to the Blight here, and Jinx Killer right now is almost dominating like we are playing the Blight on Earths.
Yeah, he wants to dodge out as quite a bit on this rock here, buying quite a lot of time. I did ask about Plague stats for K for Team Jinx, and it looks like the last performance we saw a 4K2, so this is in line with that strong performance. So K clearly knows how to play this when given the right ingredients, and like you say, very fortunate that the Survivor downtime bought them time to get the elimination and didn't really allow the Affliction survivors to even get any ground. Keegan opt to check the gens instead. Does have Eruption and 2 stacks of Pain Res left. No 4th stack of Thanatophobia because Wand did die. And has found Misato there on this TNL wall. Oh, nice little mind game there. Hiding the red stain. Unfortunately, that is going to be... sorry, that was Visera, not Misato. Yeah, going to go down. And Unhook comes through on the other side of the map. And yeah, I just feel like they're not able to catch up because of how far behind they get themselves be earlier on in the game die.
Yeah, getting a little bit worried here. Excuse me. Onto the survivor side of Affliction here. Next hook coming out less than 60 seconds now towards the elimination. Mijato and Gustavo really need to make sure that they are doing something, working on the gens, getting some unhooks. Everything that is now on the to-do list needs to be done very, very quickly. And once again, I feel like we are talking about a win condition that is coming down to the generators here. I think we can all agree that seeing escapes on the side of Affliction is rather unlikely with how good K is doing over here. Quick down onto Gustavo. That's going to be the next hook over here. Boil over is not going to grant the biggest amount of value as we're having the hook kind of in a straight line, and that's the next survivor on the second stage here. So again, not really gaining some time, not really forcing K into deciding between 2 minutes of hook camping or guarding the generators, and the next survivor is already in the chase. This is also going really quickly now, how he's able to chain these chases together and how Affliction is constantly under pressure.
Yeah, I mean, they've sort of answered that with a quick unhook, but yeah, Visera's going to go down immediately, and I do wonder if this is the last stack of Pain Resonance needed. Also, something going to come into effect when it comes to oh, nice Mori swing there. Gonna realizes that he can kill with the Mori, and that's gonna be second survivor dead. 3 gens still to go. I wonder if this Mori animation is gonna buy them time to do a gen. I don't really know how much progression they have on the map after they finish that second one. You have to hope that right now the play is for the gens, and yeah, it doesn't look like they are able to make it. 2-1. We have this one next to Shaq, which is getting dangerously close to its regression events. Only 30% on it though. So if they can get another gen done, I mean it would be great, but I'd be very surprised. I think we are looking at maybe a relatively secured 4K3, and ultimately it came down to that positioning at the start with the first 2 hooks, and not able to sort of take advantage of the time that they had. Just for a matter of time, I guess, for K to do this. One is on a Misato is on the generator and not able to win the mind game there, pulling the pallet on that side and just going to swing around it. And yeah, K gonna slug understandably and sees someone there with the eruption. Now there's going to be pretty much it. Dire, I think. Very, very good result, though. A lot higher than what we've seen for Plague. 3 gens remaining is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. 4K3, I don't want to say it's not allowed to happen, but basically it's not allowed to happen. I don't know how else to title this, like, especially not in the lower bracket when you're playing in the main stage here. Then 4K3 is kind of a disaster that is happening here. Very good, on the other hand, though, for Team Jinx. Very great comeback. The misstep on the Blight set was certainly maybe a little bit underestimating Team Affliction or playing a very bad early game, and then it just goes downhill from there. And Blight is a killer where once you're giving the killer the dominance, you really don't have a chance to make a recovery without the Blight making a mistake. So I think for Jinx, it's a wonderful comeback here, and it's a wonderful chance to push us into the tiebreaker set in this best of 3 here. For Affliction, I feel like this is taking a little bit of a worrying turn because they didn't really make anything out of it. Out of their good Blight performance, because right after that they only had 2 gens difference and already gave Jinx the sign, hey, we can meet the standards of them. We can make sure that they are also under pressure. And now the Jinx killer is coming in with a 4k3 on Plague, which is more impressive even. So Affliction might be in a pretty difficult spot if the Jinx train is getting into some dynamic here.
I think one thing we could probably agree on is that the players have been very confident on their picks. I mean, this is clearly K's specialty. The Blight last time for Demolisher was clearly something he's very confident on. So we see 2 teams not faltering on the picks that they shouldn't be. So it shows confidence. It shows that they are, even if they have their backs up against the walls, they're here to play. But a 4k3 on Plague, I feel like it's going to be a very difficult result to match. But still remains to be seen. You know, I feel like it's doable, especially if you can get good positioning like you did on the Survivors this time around. Yeah, I think that we can look forward to seeing that on the Affliction killer side after a very, very quick short break. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Rotten Fields with the coolest killer that we have in the competitive environment, the Plague. And unfortunately, it is a very known name that is coming out against the Survivor team of Team Jinx. Otherwise, they would be very happy and say it is just 3 generators that we need to repair here. But now it is 3 generators against the Demolisher, someone who just got a 4k4 on the Blight set earlier and was making sure that Jinx Survivor team is realizing that it's not going to be an easy task at all. Getting 2 infections, soon injuries here onto K and Mathis already, scouting a little bit with the Plague. We have a wonderful corrupt intervention in the distance, a straight line. So we're currently playing on 60% of the Rotten Fields, and that's going to be the benefit here, trying to get nice. The infection onto Moon. Very wonderful mind game there being done on the shack window. That was a very clean one, and now off to Survivor number 4 to get the Thanatophobia really started. A little kick here. So I also like how calm-headed, you could say, Demolisher is playing this. He knows that it's a very difficult win condition, yet it looks like he goes for his typical Plague setup, for the game plan that he noted down before. I really like how much of a peaceful approach Demolisher is showing us at the moment.
Yeah, I feel like he's not overcommitting. He knows what chases he can take, and it's fine. He's settling for the infections. Like you say, applying those Thanatophobia stacks, and is also kicking gens to get his eruption, right? So clearly has a game plan and sort of understands, I guess, really what he needs to do in order to sort of stop those gens, and that is to spread pressure and to have presence on the map. We hear a pain res go through, and that is going to be the shack gen that Ace is working on. Okay, you're going to sit on the hook now, and it looks like someone is setting up for save right here, but have they been spotted by Demolisher? I'm not sure. Doc's coming in. Looks like they want to allow the healthy Survivor to take the unhook to stop a disastrous trade from happening. Mad's on the hill here. No balance landing, but does have a decent amount of distance anyway, and will make it to shack. Is he going to commit? Looks like he might. Does have the lithe. And looks like Demolisher is found K. Actually, K going to be in chase. Now around the shack. being found. Nice little double vault. Does still have Shack pallets up. And that does make the window vault. So playing this Shack tile really nicely. And yeah, Demolisher doesn't look like he's interested in committing. A gen does pop there. So 4 gens remaining. Infection could come onto Dark. So that's going to be the last infection of the team coming through. And I see someone working on this corner of the map. So yeah, a little bit unfortunate that K managed to make Shack there, because I imagine it would be nice for Demolisher to get that first elimination pretty well progressed, especially, you know, compared to what we saw last game. But yes, I think the game's a little bit slower now, given the delay there onto the next down.
Now on to the next hook stage here for our Mats, and we are asking our producer real quick to restart the screen share as Discord starts to be a little bit against us here once again. Now the survivors are going to try spreading you across the generators, realizing obviously it is 2 more generators from now to have the set point of the plague set for themselves and pushing us into the tiebreaker. But until then, it takes a little bit longer, and Demolisher wants to go for the snipe here. That's not going to work out, but a very respectable attempt that he was having there. We hear the survivor injured behind the wall of this jungle gym, and all other 3 survivors are beautifully sitting on the generators here, so you really don't have the time to go into this chase endlessly. K drops the pallet early to also make sure that the distance is the longest as possible, but unfortunately it is going to be the mind game snipe through the jungle gym window right here. Very well done from our killer. Demolisher striking again, trying now to get the pressure onto the survivors as quick as possible. That's going to be the next down over here. We at least have the tie condition now with the second generator coming out, but now it's going to be the big question. Will Jinx push us into set number 3, because they are actually taking the set point, so it's a 1-1 tiebreaker, or are we just moving into the next set, but it is still going to be Affliction up with a 1-0, and we can only hope that they are getting this final generator out of the way.
Yeah, decision to cleanse there while the Renato's chasing the bottom side of the map, and looks like the pickups have started to come through, but damn, that looks scary for a second. If Demolisher can kind of keep on top of this pressure, I mean, that gen is so close though. Ideally wants a pain res stack potentially to just get that down if he can find someone. We see K here lurking by the hill, and the survivors seem to have slowed down a little bit, realizing the situation that they're in. Moon's been found. No full infection yet. Does still have, is still healthy. Hasn't let that progress a little bit. Deciding to go for the pool for the power, and that's going to be the full infection. And Thanatophobia, I'm sure, is doing wonders for Demolisher right now. Has that slowdown. Has plenty of eruption procs. Has eruption on that gen, the fire one, but doesn't want to let it go. It's going to go over the side of the map, assuming that the survivors are going to be trying to get this out of the way. He's in a bit of a dead zone right now in K, and looks like we are going to see an eruption proc. And weirdly, that doesn't connect, just saving a few extra seconds. But it's going to get the swing onto that one, and that gen does seem still far. Not too much lost with the eruption. And yeah, Demolisher is opting to slug now because realizes that doesn't have the time to really pick up and hook. It's fine, chase onto Moon. Moon's going to force the grab. Eruption was used before, so no eruption going to be procced, but could be a pain res if he decides to hook. It looks like it's going to be towards the progress generator here. And I think Demolisher's doing well to hold on to this, Steyr.
Yeah, I am starting to get worried for Team Jinx, and this is why this game overall, this entire best of 3 is a very interesting one, right? Because it's such a roller coaster. The very beginning, Affliction coming out in the Blight set, 4k4, and everyone is like, okay, Affliction, very clear who wants to take the command here. Then Jinx is countering that with a 4k2, and you're like, okay, there's a very good chance that they are doing that. Then they are delivering once again on the killer side, but now it is Demolisher again who really puts down the foot here. And if this is going to be a tie, that is honestly a catastrophe for Team Jinx, because then you're moving into the final set of this best of 3. Team Affliction is still ahead 1 set point, and you're still with the back to the wall. And even on your killer, where you had such a wonderful performance, you were not able to ultimately strike. So please, Kay, please get this generator out of the way. Your team needs it, the fans of Jinx needs it, your home country needs it, your culture needs it, and the entire generation relies on it. And there we go. That is going to be Jinx taking the set point before we are going into the Oni on the Greenville Square, which is going to be a whole interesting set for itself, not only for the map that is coming into the competitive environment out of nowhere, basically. But the Oni in general is always a very intense tiebreaker that we are having here. Next down coming out, I think Jinx doesn't need to be too worried anymore. Obviously, they were trying to stack the generator, so they're not all here trying to be together. And K is the final standing survivor. Zach, I think we're looking towards a 4K, but we are looking for a very exciting Oni set on the Greenville.
Yeah, I've said to you multiple times that these Oni sets, they can go horribly wrong if that power is given too early on a map like we haven't seen before. Greenville Square, I'm super excited to see how that sort of shapes up, where they seem to take chase, where they sort of identify these strong areas of the map as well. It's going to be a first for all of us, and it's going to set the stage potentially for that map to be a pick down the line. If I'm remembering correctly, it is the Sable map, and I, from experience, know that that is a very, very, like, you very, very much are open to those 3 Gen, 4 Gen scenarios in the center of the map. So ultimately, you have a goal to try and push those key gens out of the central area to give yourself a good chance, especially against Oni. If he's able to lock down like a small area, that's going to be trouble for the Survivor team. But I don't know. It could go either way. Either way, we do know that Oni is definitely a killer that these players are used to, competing with, at least. So map could definitely be a big influence on that. I'm not too sure. But now that we have that tiebreaker, very exciting. We see K and Chase now, right? Just drop that pot for safety, but is going to vault over and commit. Unfortunately, the double back comes through. Demolisher is going to get that down. And I guess just cleaning up. Knows which gen they're trying to work on this side of the map. Is there any particular scenario you can see sort of spelling out for this new map, Daya? I'm not sure. I spoke about the of course the 3 gen, the 4 gen that you do seem to find in the middle section of the map. Could we see maybe a little bit of a strategy there, or I don't know, it could just be complete chaos as well, who knows?
I think it can really go into both ways, especially after what we have seen so far here in this best of 3. I think both teams are absolutely unpredictable. Maybe they want to make it extra hard for us, that we are believing in the one moment, okay, this killer is absolutely going to nail it down, and then the survivor side is shining again, and then it's going to be the absolute other side again. One thing I do feel is that this game here between Jinx and Affliction is coming down to the killer performances. This is really like the killer battle, you could already almost say. The survivor teams are basically both under pressure. They look even a little bit overwhelmed in some case or the other. So it's really going to be the ultimate battle here between Demolisher and K and Dark. They are going to battle out who's going to win this best of 3 eventually. And the survivor sides are a little bit like side characters in a Netflix series. They are running around and they are trying to get us a little bit of extra pressure onto the generators. But I do feel like this is really one of these best of threes that is decided by who is performing better on the killer side, who is the better early game, who's able to lock the survivors down, putting them into a difficult scenario, into a difficult position, and then forcing the survivors into running after the pressure. One thing, though, that is really impressive here for the side of Jinx is how long they are still standing here. We have been on the edge to a 4K so many times now, and they are still making recovery after recovery. The generators are being progressed in the meanwhile, so we might even see the generator number 4, maybe even number 5 coming out here. And that is really something that is going to reveal a quality here that might make the ultimate comeback for them in the tiebreaker, because in an Oni set, you do have to make quite some comebacks as well, especially when you are taking one unexpected quick down with the power, when the Oni is turning into this agile killing machine. And if Jinx is now already warming up on the coordinated comeback plays, and we also need to keep in mind they will stay on the survivor side, they might have a very good position for themselves for that upcoming trial on the Oni.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to the confidence of the players. Like we said, the killer performance has been so strong. It's really just been the survivors trying to battle against the ridiculous win conditions that have been set by both sides. An interesting little stat that we just got in the background is that Oni is in fact the second lowest average of hook stages per game, and that is 6.75, so nearing 7 stages. Of course, we all know when an Oni gets given power so freely, it can really lead to the downfall of a survivor team. But if you do get those first good chases or two, or you can really prevent those injuries, it does lead to more. But a very interesting stat for Oni, and of course, when we've seen such stronger killer performance today, to have us go onto a killer that maybe we expect a little less hook states on. That maybe tells us a story, but based on the performances of the survivor sides and the killers, especially under the pressure that these results are giving them, I guess remains to be seen. We see a 4th gen completed there. Like you say, they're not faltering. They are playing this out and showing that they're not rattled. Demolisher also doing really well and finds K here at Shack. Still a hook stage on, still hook onto Moon, which you can imagine that Dark is potentially going towards. Shack palette going to be used. I'm very surprised that that's still up at this stage in the game, to be honest. But just shows that Demolisher clearly didn't want to chase in that area. Gonna try in some spicy little mind games. But it looks like opts to walk away from that. Moon's still on the hook. Is there going to be a save? Not too sure. No, it looks like they just want to pump out this 5th gen. So saying to Demolisher, look, we're going to do this gen in your face. We don't care that a survivor's on the hook. It's all about the mind games and the mentality right now. The result's been decided, so it's just waiting to see how this lasting performance is before we get into that exciting tiebreaker. Starting to struggle to yap here, but ultimately the game is going to come to a close now with 2 survivors remaining in the trial. But I am always excited to see Oni sets just because of what they do entail.
Looking at Jinx, I feel like they disagree with this coming to a closure. They are still on a mission of getting that final generator out of the way like no tomorrow. I do agree, though. It is going to be really, really hard with only 2 survivors standing, but I really admire how they are trying here, and I really feel like this is going to be a troubling factor soon on the Oni set, because we talked about it. You might need quite some comeback plays during the Oni trial. Greenville is a map that is not too often played in the competitive environment, that is relatively new to the scrim schedule as well. So it is very likely that you're falling into a position there where you are unexpectedly taking some downs, as you are potentially not familiar where the best resources at the beginning of the match. So if Jinx is really gaining the confidence here and also realizing, hey, we can do pretty well when we are in a bad spot, and they actually get generator number 5. That is a huge applause here for Team Jinx. Very, very well done. Dark going down onto the floor here, and I think our killer is a little bit frustrated here as well, and will realize that K has good chances to actually make an escape. We're going a little bit here into the Crouch Anderson mode, trying to use the urban evasion there a little bit. Dark even has the chance to miss the skill checks now on the struggle phase and can speed up death a little bit faster in that regard. They're even going for the save. Zach, they are fighting for the Nobel Prize here.
Yeah, I mean, fighting for the best result you can when you've already secured the win. It's just going to really sort of contribute to your confidence going into that next Survivor performance, which is going to be the first thing we see going into the Oni set. One thing I want to say is, of course, being new to the Scrim schedule, these new maps, at least with Greenville Square and the new Ormond map, you do see some like new tiles. So I'm interested to see how they play that. We've had Ormond Lake Mine a few times with the double pallet setups. I mean, you do have a few of those on Greenville as well. And so I feel like we're going to see some interesting maybe pathing or use of the tiles. It could be, I mean, with it being a new map, and we see a lot of new strategies too. Oh, is Kay going to get that cleanse off? She is. Oh, he is. Sorry. Oh, nice little mind game at the window. They're actually going to take power hit through there. Dark's going to leave, and yeah, I think it's going to spell the end for K. Waving at the window, and that's going to be the one escape, the one out for Jinx there, and that's I think going to feel pretty good for them as we watch this last Mori come through. And yeah, I think that we have a lot to look forward to. A new map and a very, I guess, volatile killer in terms of how these games can go. It's all about how confident they can feel, and we'll see if we can watch some incredible killer performance at least going into this tiebreaker after a very short break. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, everyone. We apologize for the longer break, but sometimes we are really being sabotaged when trying to get into our games. We tried to load in multiple times, and every single time one of the players was found missing, kidnapped by the servers, off behavior, flown away all the way to Canada. But we went right after our players, got them back in the lobby, and here we are with the first chase onto Dark. Demolisher once again taking the responsibility for Team Affliction on the killer side. Played all 3 killers today, played wonderful killers so far on the Blight and the Plague. So let's see if he can bring it home on the Oni here on Greenville Square. An interesting map, a new map on the competitive stage. Not really a map that is being practiced, not really a map that the players have the most experience with. So whoever did the homework better, Zach, should come out as the winner here.
I think so. I want to point to the start of this game with that 3 corrupt over at Shack. So not only chasing in the corrupt zone, but also on the safest area on the map. Does decide to leave eventually, but this looks like it's going to be a first hit for the power relatively early. No gens popped yet. Demolisher did catch 2 survivors at the start at Shack, and so can't expect there to be too much progression, but is going to continue just chasing, trying to suck power, and then maybe potentially decide to leave. Pretty standard stuff we see from Oni chases, but that was one of the things that we talked about how early you can get that power secured on the Oni and how much value you get from that going into the rest of the map. First gen pops upstairs and main. We see that looks like Moon, the balanced landing player, working on main building. Pretty standard stuff in terms of, you know, what we see from sets. The balanced landing player plays main. And nice patience there from Moon, reading that Demolisher wasn't going to send it through the pallet. And very, very close there, vacuuming it into the pallet. She's going to continue on to Moon, about half of the power left. We see, I believe that's Crutch and Splintered Hull. Splintered Hull generates more blood orbs with conspicuous actions like pallet drops, vaults, and window vaults, and is going to find the down onto Moon eventually. So a good early start for our killer. Go ahead.
Was wondering there, the flashlight, if that was the moon shining down on us, but the Oni just said, okay, that wasn't really the best attempt. So we hope that the survivors are not too mad about what happened. Unfortunately, the flashlight is not able to shine in the dark, and Demolisher is able to get the next hook stage here onto Moon, right behind the shack. Not the easiest location to rescue from. We have in exchange for that a little bit of a progress in the main building. So our survivor team is really making sure that they are staying on track here, that they are trying to get these objectives done as quick as possible. Demolisher now, with being in the main building here, actually not having a grasp onto these survivors. So a little bit of downtime on the killer side. The survivors use that time to make it a little bit away into the shack here, being a little bit safe. Trying to be cheeky here after using the flashlight. He does expect someone to go into the basement. A little bit of a time waste game being played here by hopping into the locker, also making sure that the power is running out. I think that was a smart play that Jinx is doing here.
Yeah, that was a nice attempt, but Demolisher having the game sense to know that that is something that is often quite done. I believe this hook here that Moon was on is a pain resonance hook, so that's going to be a second stack coming in. So yeah, good attempt. Shack pallet's gone now, so not as safe. And that 4 lane there isn't the greatest either, so that sort of combination of tiles there isn't going to do much for the survivors later on into the game. We see 2 gens have plopped already, and main building's pretty close, but Demolisher does know about it, but isn't opting to use power in main. Probably a smart move. Smiles at a survivor, maybe in Shack. But no, actually, paths away from it. Oh, nice little wiggle there. I think that was a nice little juke from K. Nice patience. And that is going to be the endurance, the BT here off hook for Dark. Not quite enough time passed, so there is going to be no down, which is going to be crucial to buy time for the drivers. And lands a stun, that's going to be huge, and blind. So really good chase coming in from Dark. A bit unfortunate that wasn't able to get the down at Shack, but we see this double I'm not quite sure how that didn't hit, I'll be honest, but playing this double pallet sets up one of the newer tiles that was introduced as part of this map. Oh. And he's buying so much time for his team right now. This is going to be devastating for Demolisher going into the latest stage in the game. We see Moon 60% on a gen, almost 70, getting pushed off it. And I don't believe the Oni is in power anymore. So very good momentum from the survivors. You can see we talked about it last game, where they were able to defend against that plague. So despite the break in between, they've managed to keep up pretty well, I would say.
Yeah, they're doing a good job here so far. Really like this confidence that Jinx is presenting us on the survivor side. This is the confidence they gained in the difficult Plague set. I'm telling you, the confidence, team chemistry, and communication is the key, especially on the Oni set. And they're just carrying this over here. Moon is now unfortunately going down very quickly here, and right next to a generator that has a lot of progress. That's going to be quite a significant setback for the survivor team now. Even though our killer has a little bit of a different plan with our survivor bringing them all the way back into the main building here. It's reset time for the other survivors. Smart choice. You don't want to turn the Greenville Square into a blood bank where the Oni can just, whenever he's running out of the power, get more orbs and more mobility, and basically being a killing machine whenever he wants to. So this is important now from the survivor side. We can already see how much blood we have collected here on the top side. So Demolisher feeling really good about that, finding the next survivor as well, while Moon is still on the hook as well. So now it's going to well, it's having the chance a little bit to make a turn here. The survivors are busy with resetting and unhooking each other, and if you now get a couple of quick downs, which seems to be denied here by Mathis, then it has the chance and the potential for the killer to be the comeback here. But Jinx is doing a very wonderful counterplay to that.
Yeah, he's still slamming at Mathis' feet. I don't know how some of these aren't connecting, but he does eventually get it. Maybe the ping is too good on the side of the killer. Mathis is going to go down, actually wasting a lot of that time in the power. Doing really, really well. And this is going to be a hook onto Mads, a first stage, and a pain res going to go on to K's gen. As we've just seen, that far gen that they were working so hard on has now gone down to about half, even less. Actually, has got power again. But all of our survivors have reset now, so the next couple of powers are going to be really important, I think, for Demolisher to get a bit of momentum on the game. But still at 2 gens, he's being able to hold down the map pretty well. We do see Dom gens in close proximity to each other. But this one here, it seems like they really want to push this one out. And yeah, Demolisher's on his way over there now, and looks like he's onto it a little bit. K gonna pre-run that. And presumably he will apply Eruption for popping power. And Snarlston over there. Is he going to path back to hook, or is he going to try and find that survivor on the gen? Looks like he wants to find K, who is lurking in the area. Doesn't seem to find them straight away, so doesn't want to waste too much time. Sees some blood, which will be Mads here. And nice little down there. Notice how they sort of taking chase a little bit towards Shack, where not much is going on. Trying to pull the Oni away from that gen so they can really get it done. So I think they have a bit of a game plan that they've established in this mid game. And pathing really towards it. But it's going to be a hook on mid map, and it doesn't look like K is going to get that gen done in time. So he's going to be able to interrupt this again. And a nice quick unhook as well, which is going to really help keep the team in the game and on gens. Does have the pallet to play. Is mind gaming them? It looks like he maybe decided to leave. Yeah, going to chase towards main building, and Mads is off to safety, but doesn't want to understandably take chase there because there's nothing really there for Demolisher to be. Instead wants to hold down these 4 gens, and this is kind of what I was saying, where you have a smaller concentration of gens in the middle of the map. And Demolisher seems to have sort of understood that and seems to be trying to play a bit of a longer game.
Yeah, it's going to be the slowdown coming out now, the 4th generator here, but the survivors need to be really careful now, especially on the mats. You really cannot lose 1 survivor. And the Oni will try to really prioritize the generators now. We will see him being less aggressive, following the survivors, not so often anymore, staying more in the area where we have the 3 generators. As soon as the power signal is coming through, the survivors potentially pulling away. We see a little bit of a disagreement there. One of the survivors immediately running, basically, as soon as the notification sound is coming, packing the baggage, already having the visa requested, and now flying out of the country, while the other one was saying, let's work more on the generator we are currently having. So Jinx potentially discussing there at the moment in the VC, how are we going to handle these final generators. Moon jumping into the locker. I feel like this is very smart plays that we see here throughout the trial from Team Jinx, always and immediately making sure that they are having the denial of the power, and that the Oni basically needs to sacrifice the power in order to get a hook stage. Unfortunately here, even the double up is not enough to get the generator. Maybe the risk that they were not willed to take on that generator is now going to come back as a punishment here, because then they could have finished it together. Demolisher waiting here to apply the eruption again. Now scouting the area here a little bit, trying to not overlook a survivor that is potentially hiding behind these rocks here, and that is ready to hop back onto one of these generators. Green will, that's a difficulty, right, has a very long stretch. And I feel like this is the problem for the Oni at the moment. We are so far away from the other generators when we're chasing up here that the Oni needs to be really careful with the calculation.
Yeah, ultimately, I think the priority for the survivors is to not get hit right now because that power is. I mean, he still has some blood orbs. He's getting very, very close to the next power. This next power, he really needs to use with caution. Once he knows he's in an area where he can really get it down, or is very confident that he's able to get it down, because all of the survivors are still healthy, and that last gen gets popped. He pops power, goes over towards that area, and see if we can get some downs secured. Maybe try to get for another kill. But nice little stealth there from K, going past, using the environment to their advantage, and Dark gonna land a nice little pallet storm on the edge of the map. So, yeah, I want to say there were a couple of occasions where the gens were sort of relatively close to being done, but couldn't quite get there. But they got it done in the end. And I think I actually think that locker grab onto Mood was very crucial in denying that the snowball effect. So. That one little decision there, I think, has led us to this result. Dark's going to be put on the hook. It doesn't look like they're too interested in leaving just yet. We'll wait and see. They are playing together. Oh, it looks like actually, never mind. They are going to be leaving. And yeah, I think it's a pretty respectable result that the survivors can be happy about. Again, we're not really used to seeing this map or how results play out. And I'm sure that they've scrammed and practiced it, but these are the first raw results that we're seeing. So good to set expectations, right?
Yeah, I feel like the fact that we are having 2 outs here is something that Jinx can be really happy about, because this trial throughout the middle really had the potential that a few quick downs and a few different chases here and there could have very easily turned that into a 4K. So I feel like Jinx made the absolute best out of it. This is the quality here, and we were already talking about it throughout the play game, how good they are when we are talking about comeback plays, when we are talking about pulling together to counter a challenging killer and a challenging gameplay moment. So they really, really showed their best here. But I feel like Affliction will be a little bit stressed now, because that didn't necessarily go as good as it would have been possible. We are talking about 8 stages here, so essentially the win condition is now going to be 9 stages, which means 3 kills for Dark in the upcoming trial. We will find out if it's going to be Jinx or Affliction saying goodbye to the Winter Circuit, and we will show you the final trial of this matchup after the break.
Welcome back, everyone, to this Oni trial on Greenville Square. We just saw the killer of Affliction get 8 stages on the survivors of Team Jinx, and nothing too outside of the ordinary of the results we've seen of Oni this tournament. Of course, on a new map like this, where the setting isn't too commonly seen, and practice might be low. We really do not know what to expect. But first chase been found onto Wand in the corner here on this tile, and it's going to land such an early hit that's going to be huge. We have Corrupt Intervention in play, and I feel like that hit came in so much earlier than last game, so I'm sure Dark's going to be feeling really good about that. Chase going to be taken over into the main area as he gets his power. Same add-ons we saw last game with the Crutch and the Splintered Hull. Pretty standard stuff in terms of the good add-ons that we see for Oni. He needs 1 more Blood Orb and probably will opt to leave, which, yes, indeed he does. We have 2 Corrupt Gens over by the shack area, and a nice collection of 4 gens here. But does have power, wants to hold on to it, doesn't want to waste it. And we see quite high progression on this gen. But I think that can be happy with that start, considering he's got an early injury, and now is hoping to get first down, maybe with a spotting the survivor. Wants to apply Eruption. Does he pop power though? He's being very, very patient with this. Maybe trying to spread his eruption as much as possible before he commits to that chase. We do still have Corrupt Intervention up, and he's already spotted 2 of the gens that are being worked on. And we see Gustavo here in chase over at Shaq. And not going to miss, but I feel like he needs to be popping power pretty soon.
Yeah, I feel like he's trying to play this role model start on the Oni side, where you're trying to get the injury and then the down as an M1, then get the first hook stage and then have the power afterwards. But unfortunately, this really doesn't work here. Very well played by Gustavo on this very unsafe pallet, making sure that the Oni is taking a stun. Now, though, it is going to be the ultimate end for Gustavo here on the edge of the map. Dark just going ahead, taking the hook stage, not going into a stack too early, and I think that is very understandable because this still has a very respectable chase time. Actually, 2 minutes and 26 seconds, which is 1 second faster than in the previous trial. So Dark absolutely dominant here over Team Affliction. 1 entire second being saved there. This is an absolute out of the world play that we are seeing here at the first chase of today. This 1 second, what the killer might do with so much time on his hands, that's going to be a very interesting question that we are answering too. And Visera is going to walk away slowly here, doesn't want to trigger the sprint burst too early. Gustavo still vibing on the hook here. Affliction now with the responsibility also deciding where are we taking the time from. Are we going to leave Gustavo on the hook for a little bit and spreading across the generators? And that seems to be the strategy here for the beginning. 2 of them now on the gens, 1 of them entering the chase, it seems like, from the hut. So they need to worry about Gustavo slowly. 30 seconds roundabout until we are going into the second stage. They're only now going back. They could alternatively also leave Gustavo into the second stage and then just slam the gens here. Will be interesting what they are deciding to do.
Yeah, the hook seems to be in pretty close proximity to some gens, so I wonder if his plan is to hold down that area for the rest of the game. Ultimately, the survivors are answering this time on hook with the gens, which is good, but it might be that Dark just wants to just doesn't really seem to be to care too much. Wants to try and push them off the gens. Isn't really committing too much to chase or anything. Sprint burst going to be used, but just going to kick that gen. Gustavo does get on hook, so they prevent the second stage for free. And going to be trying to block to see if maybe get that down. Has that 10 seconds of endurance. There's still some time. And has the safety of the pallet. But it's going to go down on the pallet, so there could be someone here lurking for the save. We do not hear any footsteps, so that is not going to be the rescue coming in. Eruption does come through onto the Zero's gen in the distance. And that is going to be Gustavo dead. I didn't actually realize they went second. That must have been very, very close, to be honest. Pop going to be applied on that gen. Eruption still on cooldown. But a survivor dead at 3 gens. I think that the Jinx killer is going to be very happy about that, I think.
Killer happy so far, getting 1 survivor out of the trial as quick as possible, especially when 3 kills are basically the win condition. Feels really, really good here. Dark on the best way now to also having much more control over the generators, right? You are putting 1 survivor on the hook, the next one needs to rescue, and the 3rd survivor can go into a chase with you, meaning that effectively no one is able to work on the generators anymore. And with the power here, you even have the chance dragging the survivors away from the active generators, forcing them into being a lot more careful, potentially hiding even. But this is a time win that you get for yourself. Dark scouting the area a little bit, trying to find the survivors that are potentially lurking nearby. We have 1 generator with a quite significant amount of progress up here, but that means that someone must be hiding here on the top side of the Greenville Square. The other 2 survivors perfectly split up between the other generators though. So big shout out here for Affliction. They are trying to be as efficient as possible. Very beautiful. Miss Miyato doing a perfect job here on the rock, trying to do that again. This time Dark immediately learned from that, will be a lot more patient, and that's going to be the down right here. But we might see 2 generators actually being completed, Zach.
Yeah, look at the efficiency coming through, and that wasn't a pain res actually, so that's going to be crucial. Does have the pop goes the weasel, has that gen at the statue really far, and another one about to be completed. Very, very close to that. There is a bit of a silver lining for Dark in that the survivor is hooked next to that one, and that's going to be next to that. Those other 2 gens, the most progressed on the map, as far as I know. Does see someone in this area. It's going to be Wand being chased in this area. Is about halfway towards power, and this does look like it's going to result in an M1. Whether Dark commits to this, I don't know. It's going to be very close. And unhooks come through, so this is crunch time right now. So they've got the 4 gens out the way, but they're in a situation now with 2 injuries on the board and a relatively rough location of, a relatively rough idea of the location of everyone. Dark knows about that gen up in the top side, so. Ideally, they want to be starting on somewhere else, but Wand is going to be caught on the edge of the map, and it's going to go down. And we'll Wand up to hook here. I imagine pain res is on the board. That's half. That gen's now down to half. It was about 60-70% before. And is this going to be a score chuck? It isn't. So saving his scourge towards the end of the game, playing a bit of a long game with the gens. It's going to be pop goes to weasel applied, and someone is still in this area, and it's going to be Visera as he pops power in his face. Unhook going to come through from Miyato, and has the sprint burst, but gets mind gamed around the edge of the map. This is going to be huge. Is he going to slug? He is going to slug. He's going to go back to the hook area, see if he can find the survivors, catch them off guard. This is going to be huge, because if he can defend these gens, of course the win condition is out, right? So yeah, catches Wand around the tree. Really good game sense to know that. And where is Miyato? It looks like he's crouching. Oh, that's a very, very that's not the ideal location. Yeah, this is looking pretty bad. It's looking pretty bad.
This is basically when you are forced to watch a catastrophe unfold, and you can just stand on the sideline and you cannot really do anything against it. This is the role that Miyato is playing at the moment here. Very, very unfortunate here at the moment. Affliction with the back to the wall. 5 stages so far. So just based on this, there would be the chance to make something happen here. But realistically, we are looking towards a 4K here. Visera on the floor, Wand on the hook. And yeah, Miyato is the final standing survivor. Ultimately, Jinx coming out stronger, coming out with the better recovery plays in the Blight set after 4K4. Their killer showing us a very respectable result. And the Plague doing a good job there, forcing us into the tiebreaker. And then here, Dark striking once again on the Oni. Honestly, for me, the killers today, the MVPs on both sides, on Affliction and on Jinx. Phenomenal performances back to back on the killer side. Survivor teams were really put under struggle and under pressure. But yeah, Jinx had the better comeback story. We talked about it. Affliction played strong, but they had these moments where they allowed Jinx to gain and take some extra confidence still from the trials, and I think that this is the difference here that we see at the end. So I feel like Jinx very much deserves moving on in the winter circuit.
Yeah, and as this is all going on, they're managing to pick each other up. It seems like Affliction don't want to let this go just yet. Of course, this is an absolutely devastating scenario, but yeah, like you say, the killer performances have been so confident. I feel like that's the key word of this set. It's confidence. Confidence in the abilities of the killers, the results, and also the confidence in survivors fighting back and trying to combat these win conditions. But yeah, I think that when I mentioned earlier, I was sort of envisioning Dark sort of holding down that side of the map and getting a hook there, that he was able to sort of really monitor those 3 gens in the area has really led to this. And whilst they did have really good gen efficiency, unfortunately, the long game played off a little bit for Dark. Gonna be taking chase. Here's Miyato in the cinema area. 2 survivors dead now. And it's gonna go down. Where is Vizier? I mean, there's 2 survivors alive. But yeah, I mean, I think we're getting very, very close to those hook stages. At least I don't believe Vizier has taken a hook yet. I felt like it's not over till it's over, right? That's why I'm sort of holding on the edge of my seat right now. I thought it looks very, very done indeed.
Zach put some money on Affliction, ladies and gentlemen.
It did not. No.
That's why he's currently on the second phone. On the second phone, contacting the behavior headquarter, asking for a server crash to initiate the restart here, but it is the ultimate ending right here. Dark sealing the deal. Jinx is going to stay in the winter circuit, taking this best of 3, very much deserved. Unfortunate that we have to say goodbye to Affliction. Wonderful best of 3, close games, a lot of fights. Would have been great to have Affliction one more round in the tournament, but unfortunately, even in a double elimination bracket where you're already trying to avoid saying goodbye to teams, it is coming at some point. So goodbye, Affliction. It has been an honor and a blast to see you on the stage. Very well done today. Jinx is going to move on in the lower bracket. They are going to play against the loser of Eternal versus Sinners. Those high bracket games are being held tomorrow, but yeah, a very beautiful story that we had here tonight. Next up, we have Loyalty going against Misery. We'll not be able to make the longest campfire chat because my sickness is really taking over. But I'm trying to hold tight through this best of 3 that is coming up. We have Loyalty with Oni on Greenville. So we're just going to stay here. We are testing the same conditions basically on 2 other teams. Let's find out how Misery and Loyalty are playing this in their American showdown after that.